Hello again, it's Mr. Pete. Welcome back to the shop. This is episode number 78 of my long-running series called This and That, and I've got a bunch of things to show you. I haven't done one in a long time. As a matter of fact, I may not even be able to include everything in this episode here, so hang in there with me. But I'm fighting with my wife. We had a major argument the other day about these green bananas here, and I still haven't recovered from that. We've got a Cold War here. We haven't talked in days, so I'll explain that just a little bit later. Let's begin. You know what? I've only become aware recently that most of my viewers have absolutely no interest in the small engines, the model engines. So rapid forward about 3 minutes here as I talk about these beautiful little engines. I know I've made videos on these a long time ago, and I love the patina that this engine is getting right now. But these engines belong to my brother, but he did not make them. A friend of his by the name of Chris Eichelberger made these a long time ago. But they are examples of Elmer's engines. Are you familiar with Elmer's engines? Elmer Verberg wrote a long book, hardcover book, on there were 50 different engines, from beginners to a little bit more complex. You wouldn't want to tackle this to start with, but there's some real simple ones there. But the book is out of print. It's called Elmer's Engines. So I'm going to show you a picture of the book. If you can find one of those books, it will cost you $200 or $300 or even $500. Now, I had that book. I don't know what happened to it. I think I loaned it to my brother. So don't even think about trying to find it, but I'm going to tell you in a few minutes here where you can get all of the blueprints, and it's not against the law. Elmer left instructions before he died to his family that he wants people to have the blueprints, the working drawings if they want them. And again, I'll show you that in a second. But I think all of those blueprints were originally in one of the engineering magazines. I'm not sure if it was Live Steam or one of those. So they are reprints in the book. Maybe you have seen Elmer's engines. So let me tell you where you can get a hold of these drawings if you are interested. This is a picture of Elmer himself. This book is probably at least 30 years old, so he's been gone to steam engine heaven for quite a while already. This is a picture of his book with the dust cover. Not a good picture, by the way, but that's what it looks like after you take the dust cover off, in case you ever run into one of these books. I know there's people out there that do not know anything about the phones or how to navigate in that, but if you are able to have a QR code reader on your phone, all you got to do is point it at that, and instantly My Heap will come up. Matter of fact, there's a picture of it. That takes you right to Mr. Pete's page, and you can navigate through that if you want. But go to the home page here, and then you will eventually find all of these precious drawings from Elmer. And here's an example of the engine that I just have shown you. Now, I suppose if you have a colored printer, and I do not, maybe this picture would be better. I really don't know. But every one of these drawings has, I don't know how many pages, however many are necessary, of very nicely dimensioned drawings. So there must be 200 pages or so, so you won't want to print all of that out. I guess I won't show you anymore because it just goes on and on and on. But if you want to build little engines, there is your resource, starting from simple to complicated, and you are not breaking any copyright law by printing these out. Fairly recently, I made this little wobbler engine. I call it the mayonnaise engine, and I dared people, I dare you to make one. And believe it or not, quite a few people did, and some of you sent me pictures and even videos. But about 2 weeks after that, I received a letter in the mail, handwritten in pencil by a 9-year-old boy by the name of Elijah. And I'm not going to tell you his last name, but he lives out in Maryland. But in this letter, he told me that he made one of these engines with the help of his dad, and he just went on and on. I'm not going to read it, But I want to tell you right now, I cried like a baby when I read that letter. So in the letter, he said that along with his dad, he made a video of the engine running, and you can find that on the website or the channel that's called The Fixer of Broken Stuff. And there's little Elijah, 9 years old. And Elijah, I hope you and your dad are watching, and to Elijah's dad, I'm going to call him Mr. Elijah, you are a wonderful father. And I cried again like a baby when I watched the video. So I hope some of you will watch that video. And to think that I created an interest or a little inspiration or something like that in a child of that age, and he's the age of my little Henry, who has no interest at all in this stuff. So it just meant so very much to me. So there's little Elijah standing by the workbench next to his engine. What a cutie. Hello, Elijah. Thank you so much for the letter. Today is January 8th, 2024, and when I was over at Lost Creek Machinery for that open house a few weeks ago, my friend Dale from Washington, Illinois was there, and he gave me this beautiful can of candied roasted pecans. Thank you so much, Dale, and thank you to your mother, who I believe is the one that actually made them. But that day when I was over there, you know, I'm pretty good friends now with the Krugs who run that Lost Creek machine, but I was looking at a little machine, little micrometer he had sitting there, and he said, "Oh, you like those little micrometers?" I said, "Well, yeah, that's so cute." So he pulled out another one, and that's a Starrett, and then he gave me this box, which I had to reline. But look at that cute little, this is a 1/2-inch micrometer. Do not confuse that with a 1-inch, and I plan to be using this quite a bit in the future when my Unimat lathe arrives here from a donor in Ottawa. Not Ottawa, Illinois, which is 15 miles from here. Ottawa, Canada. It'll be here in a few weeks. Thank you, Krug boys. This is the little micrometer that I was looking at, and that's when Matt came over with the other micrometer and said, "Hey, you can have it." So this is the one that I have. That one is even a little smaller, but I didn't see a name on it. You know, I go to all kinds of thrift stores or garage sales, whatever, but I was in Goodwill in Peru, Illinois not long ago, and I found this book, 25 cents. And granted, the metal fabrication leans toward automotive repairs, but yet there's a lot of great information like there, how to lay out, how to do this, how to read blueprints, just about how to read a ruler, as well as many more complicated. There's welding, but that's a nice book, and I suppose it's probably $30 if you were forced to buy it. Thanks to my neighbor Richard, who brought over this very unusual little pocket level made of extruded aluminum, and a pocket clip, got the screwdriver, the bubble. But the interesting thing is, if I can find it here, it is indeed a Brown and Sharpe. Boy, that is hard to read, isn't it? Can you see that? Brown and Sharpe. Thank you, Richard. About 1 year ago, I received a gift from Mark Webb, and I've shown these before. So there's a wrench, and this is the chuck key that fits on my closing lathe. So I use this every day. And people, I have explained this, but people are still asking me, what's with the pattern on here? What is that? Well, it's like Damascus steel. So this man, again, Mark Webb from Tennessee, is a excellent blacksmith, as you will see here by some more gifts that he just sent me here before Christmas. Thank you, Mark, ever so much for your beautiful handiwork. Now let's take a look. He also made this beautiful, this is a center punch, but look at the artwork here. And it's made out of 5160 steel. Now, granted, this is for center punching large work with a large hammer, because here's a typical center punch, so you can see the difference in size, but look at the craftsmanship involved here. Another heirloom piece, and there is his mark. So let's get back to the bananas. My wife was going to Walmart and I said, can you get me some bananas? I want to display them on the banana rack made for me by Mr. Webb. And she said, sure. So she comes back with green bananas. Now these are already 2 or 3 days old. They were really green when she came back from Walmart. Like I say, when you're an 80-year-old man, you do not buy green bananas. And she broke one of my major rules, and that's what our fight is all about. But removing the bananas from the stand, look at this piece of art that Mr. Webb made, and there's the mark again. Hollow back, peened over, graceful curve. You can see the hand hammering there. Isn't that wonderful? He is not only a blacksmith, he is an artist. Thank you so much, Mark. I hope you're doing fine down there in Tennessee. We've had 4 inches of snow here. By the way, for those of you that are interested, I will be running Peat Bay again later this month, January 2024, maybe even into the next month a little bit. But here's just a sample of some of the items that will be put up. There's a lot more than this, but I know some of you guys probably are salivating right now. Others could care less, but of course that's up to you. But watch for those videos because you absolutely will not be notified by YouTube. I'm on their poop list. They will not spread the word at all. You need to search regularly for tubalcain and my videos will come up. Every year for about the last 5 years or so, one Mr. Dave Pigeon sends me a whole handful of these little calendars. I love to put these on the dashboard of the car and on my toolboxes, but he sends a lot of other unusual things. For instance, here's a little magnetic square. I've never seen one like that. If I can get it open. It's about 4 inches, graduated, and it has magnets on the bottom. That'll be pretty darn handy on the machines. However, I can see chips getting attracted to that, but that's a nice piece. Thank you, David, for everything you send here. These are touch-up pens. Actually, they're designed by Birchwood. You've all heard of Birchwood Casey. Maybe, yeah. So they make gun bluing and gun supplies, but this is for the sight on your gun. But I plan on using. I'll give one to Jordan, and the others I'll use in here in the shop just as a paint pencil, I think. And then in these boxes here, I think that Dave must hear me talking about the periodic chart of the elements, and I tried so hard in college to memorize this, but I didn't have the ability. But there's a piece of beautiful, clear plastic with the entire chart of the elements. Isn't that awesome? What a pretty piece. I don't want to get any scratches on that. Set that off to the side. And I'm not sure what's in here. Gladware. So what this is a tiny little power screwdriver, and there must be, 40 bits here of various sizes and configurations. And look, it's etched. mrpete 222, and this is rechargeable. That's what that cord is for. So you got the little light, forward and reverse. How awesome is that? And all kinds of other little tools and accessories included. Maybe this is for gunsmithing or just that tiny work where you don't need a whole lot of torque, but you need a bit that's just the right size. Thank you ever so much, David, for the wonderful Christmas presents. So much better than the old Spice gift set. This, of course, is my old homestead where I grew up and lived until I got married. So there's the front porch where my friends and I congregated. Sometime might be 10 or 12 kids there, and that's also the front steps that the wonderful FBI man climbed and then knocked on the door. This was my sister's room up here, and I don't think I ever told the story about my brother coming in late one night and he was locked out, and he was quite wiry when he was young. He climbed up this pillar right here, which is pebble dash, by the way, got onto the roof and came in through this window while my sister was sleeping and scared her to death. About 3 weeks ago, I get a knock on the door at about 9 at night, and my neighbor said, "Hey, can you help me get a truck out of my backyard? It's stuck in the snow." And I said, "Well, my tractor won't start." But I went out there and the tractor started instantly. And I guess that my grandson Andrew came over and took this little video. It's not very good, but here's me pulling out of the snow this Ford truck. They were trying to load up some concrete block or something, and even the slightest grade, and he got stuck over and over. I had to reconnect the chain one time after another. I think this is a Ford 450. It's got dualies on it, a stake bed type truck. And there I am, freezing to death, an 80-year-old man. And then we took the chain off right here, and he got stuck. He couldn't even move from there. You know how these trucks are when they're not loaded heavy. He was stuck again, but it was kind of fun. And I'll have to confess that in the 20 years I've owned that tractor, that is the only actual usable work that it ever did other than playing with it. Don't forget to watch my videos when available later in the month on these Manson micro lathes. Remember, these lathes are only about 10 inches long, and they are actual working lathes, not just models. This picture was taken over Lost Creek Machine, and this is the Manson lathe that they loaned me, and I'm just comparing it here with a Unimat lathe. That's about the model that I'll have here in a few weeks. I'm not sure this is worth showing to you, but this beautiful woodworking bench was in an antique store a few weeks ago. It was already sold, but it's just a beauty. It must be 6 or 8 feet long. I do not know what they were asking for it because it says sold on it. A few months back I installed this power feed, and in setting up the limit switches here I had to come up with my own rail. So you will recall that I used 1-inch square steel, much bigger, much heavier than what I needed, and even that required a special trip so I could find it. But all during that time I was thinking, I wish I had some small, lighter tubing than that. This is insane. Which of course it was. Well, a few days later, I'm not kidding you, 3 days after I made this, I went out to my other garage and I looked across the street where a lady had just moved away. It was a rental property, and there was a whole pile of this ornamental aluminum, I don't know, room divider, I don't know what it is. But I went over and snagged a piece. It was laid out for the garbage. And here is a sample of it. So it's aluminum, 1/2 inch by 1 inch. It would have, or maybe 3/4. It would have been just perfect for this application, but it was a day late and $1 short. And then even after that, I watched someone's video where someone was doing a similar job, and that man had ordered some extruded aluminum T-slot. I don't know where he got it, but it also would have been perfect for the application. No machining, just cut it to length. A big thanks to Brian Boucher out in Massachusetts. He's a big fan of my channel. He's helped me a lot, but recently he sent me another box of candy. I don't have it to show you because I couldn't stop eating it. And just, you know, high quality chocolate. Second time he's done that, and he also sent me a flash drive of some of his great projects and shop items. So thank you ever so much, Brian. If I miss somebody, I hope to get you next time, and I hope I didn't leave anybody out, because I just received an incredible amount of comments and a lot of emails and even letters like from the little boys. So that's why I can't always keep track of everything, and I don't have a very good memory anymore, but then again I never did. Or I would know the periodic chart by heart. Lots of you watched the video where I showed Ellie Price's beautiful little multi-spindle device here. And by the way, he told me to sell this, so this will be in Pete Bay, I think, with a starting bid of $50 if anybody is interested or would want to bid on that. But after I issued or released the video, Ellie sent me some more data on this, including a drawing, which I'm going to show you here presently. So watch that video if you haven't already seen it, because this is an amazing little device, and Ellie is quite the tool and die maker and craftsman. He's the exalted craftsman. So watch that video, and I have authorized Ellie to answer comments in the video if he's involved in that. Well, anybody can answer, but sometimes he can give a better answer than what I can on this. Let's take a look at those drawings. Here is all the data on the gears for that 4-spindle drill head. Pause your video if you want to study. And here's his drawing showing the dimensions here regarding the position of all of the shafts holding the gears. Very interesting. Quite a bit of math involved here. Well, the video is long enough. I didn't cover everything, there's just too much, so we'll have to do that in another video. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to watch for Pete Bay. Give me a thumbs up, but only if I deserve it. Oh, and one other thing. The last anecdote that I did on the Colt, you know what? You know, I can't even say those words because of the censorship. So that video was unmonetized. You can't monetize a video showing terrible things like that. Well, it's true. I do have a bunch of other anecdotes, but it's not going well at all. The viewership, it isn't what I had hoped for, but I am a dreamer. So long for now. It's Mr. Pete, and I hope very much that I see you next time. I saved the worst for last. If you are faint of heart, do not watch this. That's a fair warning, but on Christmas Eve I gave my granddaughter Sophia $50, and all the other kids as well. They live next door, you know, and they have a couple dogs there, and there was even another dog there, you know, visiting. But anyway, they had the $50 bill sitting on the table there because they ordered a pizza. What a waste of $50. But they look over there, and the $50 bill is on the floor, and the dog is chewing it up. And they were able to retrieve all these little parts here on the floor, all saliva laden, and then they couldn't find the rest. Goodbye $50 bill, not so fast. You're not going to be able to see it, but when it was snowing out, so when they cleaned up the yard a few days later, you know what this is, but it's so sickening. It's not going to focus, but sure enough, there's the $50 bill. They cleaned it. To me, I wouldn't have cleaned it if it was a $1,000 bill. But they got it cleaned. One bank refused to take it, which I think it's lawfully they have to take it if the serial numbers match. But they went to they told that bank what happened, and they said, we're not taking that. So they went to another bank where they weren't even customers, but they didn't tell them what happened. They just gave them all the pieces, and the man handed them over. The teller handed it over. Another $50 bill.